play it safe. I might play a little dirty someday, and I'll follow with faith. They say I'm the chosen one. I know what it takes to be a king, and be the song everybody wanna sing, and break heart beneath, and be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born.
What's going on, everybody? What just happened? I hit a button, something or another. I tell you what. Well, I get all this figured out. I'm going to switch over to page number 2. And let's start here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I gotta mess that up. Everybody, welcome to the. Everybody, welcome. Can y'all hear me okay? My microphone sounds a little crazy. Just making sure this is working right. Oh, that's so much better. I just got to talk into it. More clearly, how is everybody doing? My goodness. Yeah, I'm going to do this on a Saturday. Why not? Why not? My wife has a birthday party to go to. I put the kids to bed. We had almost a bad storm roll through today. I thought it was going to be way worse than it is. I kind of gave updates on what was going on with that storm. I was playing the weatherman over in the lawn Discord. For those of you that have never been over there, I'll post a link in the chat. Go check us out at the lawn Discord, where I give live weather updates. I play the weatherman sometimes. That's right, Sean. Saturday Night Live with the Grass Factor. How's everybody doing, man? I tell you what. I'm just thinking, like, should I start doing Saturday live streams? Should I do them early in the day? Should I do them late in the day? And I don't even know if I want to do just like a regular live stream tonight. I may just want to get up here and chat. In fact, I may end this video stream and I may send in something from Zoom here in a little bit. I just, Got a cold glass of water here. That's right, weatherman Matt Martin bringing the thunders. Bow! I'm gonna switch screens on my board. See which sound effects I can get going tonight. It's too cold to snow here, he says. My goodness. The one thing I wonder is, like, who really, what would Saturday be a better day than Sunday? I wouldn't think so. Too many people still have stuff going on, right? Yeah, to dinner parties and neighborhood parties, or for some of you crazy people trying to get a mow in. I saw somebody talking about mowing in New Jersey, but we're frozen in Wisconsin, my goodness. We got a busy week coming up ahead of us. I'm just now recovering from this week. Boy, did Carbon Earth have a crazy week this week. I'm not going to go into details, but my goodness. Oh, it was interesting. This was one of those weeks that really test you. Really test you, just to get your brain spinning. You ask a lot of questions like, what exactly am I doing? It wasn't so much what exactly was I doing, but just a tough situation we had this week. I don't know why I'm just kind of freewheeling up here. We got 36 viewers, so I figure I'm going to go ahead. And shift this over into playoff football is on, Matty. Oh yeah, that's right. Here's the thing. I am not an NFL guy. Interesting week at oh man, I didn't realize it was. I was assuming it was going to be about a 10:30 end time on this game. It's keeping up with the first half score of the Titans and Ravens, but we'll still take a 2 touchdown and a point lead over that. I'm really not, Steve. I'll go ahead and tell you now. I'm not big of a pro football guy. I'm just not. I'm a college football guy. I went to an SEC school. I love living in the South. I've been around SEC football my whole life. I mean, I'm wearing a UT hat on somewhere over here. I'm wearing a UT shirt. I'm just look at that North Dakota State University football national champions. That's what I'm talking about. Bring it home for the Snowbirds, baby. I never have been able to get into pro. I like watching some of the UT players when they make it pro. I like watching their highlights and stuff, but I'm just not a pro football guy. Because this is not a regular live show, I'm not gonna do the roll call tonight. I'll save it for the people that do not like the roll call. Here you go. This right now is your time, because I am not gonna roll call. So maybe I could just be the noise in your ear during your time. Tennessee isn't big of an SEC team anyway. Get out of here, Andy Harrison. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. At least the people in Tennessee, or the people who are Tennessee fans, they sure do feel like it's a big of an SEC team. I don't know if anybody saw that, but Richard Nettles, I may hurt your feelings here, but I got to go LSU. And I love Coach O, and yeah, I think that's how it is. Andy, I don't want to hear your go dog statement. You're just upset because Cade Mays came back to University of Tennessee. That's what I'm saying. And even though this may not be a normal show, feel free to ask your questions in the chat, and I will answer them. I've got no problem answering long questions tonight. I enjoy that part of it. In fact, I think I'm doing this right now to decompress, because it was such a bizarre week of Carbon Earth. And really, it even started last week at the Tennessee Turfgrass Association. I didn't see anybody there from the YouTube that I recognize, but I did run into a lot of people I knew, so that was a good time. It was just a little bananas. Look at that. We got Thomas G in here. What are you doing, big dog? I like a Saturday live stream. Okay. All right. Well, we'll fiddle fart around in here. I'm just curious who's in here. I may not be doing the roll call, but we got a big shout out to Kenny Cooper, who was first in here. What's going on, Big Kenny? Big Ken. B-Ruck was in the house, and I believe his wife was behind him. John Ware said hello. What's up, JW? How are you, good sir? We had the Pack Northwest Lawns. How are you, good sir? I saw you had a video out, and I have not watched it yet. I apologize. I will. I'll get around to it. Jesse Snow, Andy Harrison, our biggest Georgia fan here. I've got some comments over here. I can see the latest chat over here, and then on this monitor, I see like the earlier stuff that I'm going through now, and I'm kind of saying hey to people. What's going on, J Farm? Bermuda Boss, how are you, good sir? Jay Pink is in the house. What are you doing, John Pinkerton? How are you, sir? Happy Saturday. Cheers, even though it is just water. I am hung up until tomorrow. Tomorrow is my so I talked a little bit when I did my first live stream back that I'd been going through some health issues, and I'm not going to tell exactly what I have going on, but the issue that I do have has recently, within the last 5 to 10 years, a cure has been discovered for it. And I had an 8-week medication course. I'm having a little hard time coming to terms with what exactly it was. And so I don't feel comfortable talking about it publicly a whole lot. So I'm going to try and force this out without giving away a whole lot about it, because I've still got to mentally come to terms with it. But I tested free from the issue about 4 weeks ago. I still had to stay on the medication for another 4 weeks, and I finished tomorrow. That'll be 8 weeks, and then I have to go get a little blood test done to make sure everything worked correctly, and then 4 weeks after that, I'll be tested to make sure I am cured and everything will be back to normal. But really, actually, for me, Sunday night, everything goes back to normal. And the fact that I know I no longer have that issue affecting me, and I no longer have to take the medication. I don't have to worry about side effects or anything of that. Maybe I'll come to terms with it here, and I'll give a little more inside information at some point. But I'm kind of excited for it, man. We got some crazy wind going on outside. I'm about to pull up some some screens here. I mean, that is really loud. I don't know if anybody can hear that through the microphone, but that is really loud. So anyway, now that we kind of had our garage chat there, we can get back on with the show. Are y'all ready for some factors? Saturday night. That's right, Fish Duck it is. I see Fish Duck in here. Dan Johnson, AV guy. No, man, the whiteboard. I've got it in my garage, but it's really hard for me to film in the garage. The sound has just got like this weird echo. And then there's always something going on outside that interrupts, or one of the guys that work nearby will hear me out there and they'll stop by and stick their head in. I can't tell you how many videos I've attempted to record on that whiteboard that have never worked out. So I'm sorry I'm not doing the whiteboard. And I hope to get back to it. And one of the things I'm looking at doing is actually recording on the green screen and turning the green screen into whiteboard. So, I'll get there. Gravy Lookout, my main man Evan up in the coda playing video games, but he got me in the background. That's right. We got some good stuff going on in the background. Them Titans, though, that's what I'm saying. We broke a 150-year record in Pittsburgh today, hitting 70 degrees. Woo! Yeah, we were kind of around the same thing. We broke a really big record today too. That is for sure. Greg Pawanda says it is too wet to mow. Unfortunately, I hate that for you. Who are you pulling for in the game Monday night? I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I do not know. I really don't care. How about that, Lambert? I took a look. I don't care. I don't care. Paul, I'm glad you're here, sir. Good to see you. I was plugging some of your videos earlier today and some private stuff. I had some good fun throwing out there some PPC videos and some testy situations. Dan, how are you not white in the Titans game? Sham. I think I covered that so far. I think I've covered that. John, it was a testy week. All right, I'm gonna scoot on down here because I think I got some lawn questions. I'll get on to some lawn questions here. Scott Newman says, had to put out a couple fires on my dormant Bermuda on New Year's. It was catching fire so easy. Ended up turning on the sprinkler. It's easy to do. I burned off my backyard last year, and it did not take long to burn it at all. It only took about 15 minutes to burn down my yard, but it did take about 4 hours to burn down my shed. Rest in peace, shed. F in the chat for the shed. F in the chat for the shed. It was an interesting week, and I'm not falling for that AV guy. How about them apples? Can modes of action in herbicides counteract each other? Yes, they can, but it may not necessarily be the mode of action. It could be more so just the chemistry, the active ingredient, and I'll give you an example. The biggest example of that would be Acclaim. Phenoxaprop does not play well with 2,4-D. You will end the efficacy, you'll destroy the efficacy of Acclaim by mixing it with 2,4-D. Now, if you need broadleaf weed control in combination with your Acclaim, you can mix it with triclopyr. Triclopyr will give you that spectrum without having to reduce any efficacy. Andy, you do not need to do that, sir. Man, that's ridiculous, dude. Seriously. Stop that. Thank you, though. I got all three buttons going there. Thank you, Andy. Seriously. It's unnecessary, though. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, the meteorological records that were broken today were absolutely insane. That is nuts. And I think the storms are a good thing, or a good sign of what actually was taking place there. It was a brewing. At least you're not from Arkansas. We've had a tough couple of years. Jesse, man, you aren't kidding. And listen, when I grew up in my house, I'll tell you what was on. It was Notre Dame football, it was University of Tennessee football, and it was Arkansas football. I loved watching Arkansas football. I mean, I grew up in Memphis, so it's right there, right across the river. So we watched every Arkansas football game. So I hate seeing Arkansas in that position. I really do not like it at all. I'll just get that out there. It's not that I'm a giant Arkansas fan. I just hate seeing it. Look at this. We got the DIY lawn care monster in here who is a Kentucky fan. How are you, good sir? I'm not even going to say anything because I have a business in Kentucky and I will support Kentucky. How about that? Chris Joyner says, how do you like your steak? I like my steak rare. And Chris, my wife is from Asia. She's from Japan, and they eat a lot of rare meat over there. And by rare, I mean raw. And after you eat enough of it, you come to kind of prefer it. And I don't know. You may already be this way. I'm just assuming you're not. It's just it's a different texture. It's a different experience. Don't get me wrong. I still like a cooked steak, but at the same time, I really enjoy eating red meat raw, in the right cuts. It's good stuff. It's good. I like it. The Hungry Southerner says, Matt, my lawn is low on hemoglobin. That's funny. I love it. It's funny the second time. Popo and Son says, how much is a handful of urea if still have some liquid fert? Well, here's the question. How big of a tank are you dealing with? So if you've got like a 100-gallon tank and you need to bump it up, if you're just trying to bump it up, or maybe even have like a surfactant type effect, put 20 pounds in it, 25 pounds in it, something like that. If you got a 200-gallon tank, put 50 pounds in it, something like that, where you're not just slamming a whole bunch of nitrogen down, but you're giving it enough to give it a nice slick surfactant like quality. It'll just do that. John Pinkerton wants to know, Matt, which 2020 candidate would mow the best stripes? My goodness, but I think it's going to come down to this. I think it's going to come down to two. I think there's going to be two, and I think it's going to be a tie. And I hate to say that, but it's going to be a tie. And it's going to be a tie between Ryan Orr and Connor Ward. How about that for kissing ass? I like doing this on Saturday because I can go so much slower. On my Sunday show, I mean, it's just full throttle, bees to the wall, just blah, 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 blah. Here, I can slow down and take my time because this really ain't the live show. I'm doing one tomorrow. This is fun. Popo and Son, lawn care, what does your lawn look like right now? It is just super dormant. Yeah, I mean, it looks like this right here, except gray or brown. It's not gray. If it was gray, it'd be dead, but it looks just like that. Yeah, I see that. I'm glad Tennessee's beating Baltimore, I guess. Let's see. Where are we? Holy crap. I cannot change my name. I don't know how to help you on that. Thomas G's on some Buffalo Trace. Man, golly, that sounds like a really good time. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do a show tomorrow. I think that way I can kind of get in and get a whole bunch of questions going at one time. You know what I mean? Just like I did earlier. Was listening to a 40-year... Hey, what's going on, Steve Darcy? How are you, sir? Good to see you in here. I was listening to a 40-year professor at a seminar. He said sulfur was not accurately measured in soil tests and not needed because of coal stacks. He thought gypsum was a waste for the same reasons. Thoughts? Golly, man. Okay, so Steve, let me kind of let you in on what's going on here. Okay. back 40 years ago, or maybe even 25 years ago, when this professor was in his prime, was in his heyday, I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase acid rain, but acid rain was a big thing. It was on the news often, and it stretched a wide variety of the United States. Acid rain. Well, there's been a lot of cleanup that's taken place from 40 years ago to now when you're dealing with acid rain, and it is no longer the issue that it used to be. So, is sulfur accurately measured in soil tests? Yes, it is. And then also, if he's saying sulfur in the sense of an acidifier, here's the thing. When you measure sulfur in soils, remember that's sulfate sulfur. That's not elemental sulfur. So just to make that distinction, and you may not be going there, but I just want to throw that out there. And when you're talking about sulfur isn't needed because of coal stacks, well, acid rain would have an acidifying effect because, and you would get sulfur from that, but you're also going to get a big hydrogen release out of that water, and that hydrogen release is what's going to cause your dwindling pH and would bring your levels down. Anyway, okay, where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is that sulfur as a nutrient is very important, and it is not going to be an issue to apply, and especially if you are deficient in it. Applying it is going to give you a big benefit, because I'll tell you why. It is not actually a micronutrient. It's actually taken in very, very large quantities into the plant, depending on the species you're dealing with. So when I hear a professor like that say that, I'm going to say, dude, you are living 40 years in the past. And I would say that to him, and he'd probably tell me to get out of his face. Just saying from experience. And let me tell you a little bit about how sulfur is going to work, right? So sulfur, you start getting into elevated, higher sulfur levels in your leaf tissue. That's going to be a trigger to the plant to usually coinciding with elevated sulfur levels in tissue is also going to equate to higher levels of iron and higher levels of manganese. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, if you've ever sprayed like a liquid iron supplement on something, and you turn and you look at that label, a lot of times what you see in that is going to be like a chelated iron source and a chelated manganese source. And then usually maybe like they'll be sulfated, right? So it'll be like ferrous sulfate, manganese sulfate. So you have a sulfur source, a ferrous source, your iron source, and then a manganese source. Because the sulfur is going to trigger the iron and the manganese. Does that make sense? You see, does that make sense how that works? So now in that same regard, gypsum. Gypsum, yes, does supply sulfated sulfur. So in the event you are low, there you go. You got a product for it. But the big thing for gypsum is going to be calcium, and using calcium to displace other potential ions. So we'll say, for instance, you have an elevated level of sodium in the soil. You're dealing with sodic soils, and you're attempting to displace that sodium, reduce the concentration of sodium. You could apply calcium sulfate gypsum. It may not necessarily do anything for the amount of sodium you have in the soil. Just by volume, it'll be a lower concentration. Now, there's also some kind of pseudoscience in there, because, they're talking about, oh, you're dealing with salt, you deal with gypsum. Well, it doesn't actually work that way, because the only thing you're doing is you're trying to use a salt, the salt of calcium sulfate. You're trying to use a salt to get rid of a salt, in this sense, sodium. How does a salt get rid of a salt? It doesn't. How does something not as soluble as the other get rid of it? It doesn't. So gypsum in general, as a calcium supplement, is a good calcium supplement. It's a good calcium source. No problem there. I've got no issue with it, especially if you can't apply, say you're dealing in high pH situations, or high carbonates in the soil, and you need to get down calcium, and you don't have access to calcium nitrate, or you need, then there you go. You get you go to your gypsum. That's a great product. For people that are telling you gypsum is going to be a clay buster, get out of here. That's garbage. That's not how that works. What they're saying is that by elevating your calcium levels, you'll be flocculating your soil, causing these soil colloids to attract together and hold together and form larger particle sizes. And the larger the particle size you have, the higher infiltration rate you'll have because the more pore space you'll have in the soil. Calcium does do that, yes. Only if you're in a very specific instance, right? So if you're very deficient and you need to flocculate, then gypsum may be a good source for you. Does that mean it's going to be a clay buster? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Applying a salt to a soil is not going to bust up clay. And clay's not even necessarily a bad thing. If you want to fix your clay issue, just get something growing on it. The fastest way to correct an impenetrable clay or a hydrophobic clay is to get something adequately growing in it. How about them apples? I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry for the long-winded response. Jesse Snow says, my Bermuda is not going dormant in Arkansas. What do you recommend for spray? I normally do a heavy blanket app of glyphosate in February to clean up everything. Jesse, you can still do glyphosate applications. There's a section on the Roundup label, your Roundup Pro label, that talks about spraying green Bermuda grass. And there was also a study. There was a study that was conducted on spraying glyphosate and then measuring the rate of green up. Because chances are it's going to go dormant before the end of winter, right? It's always February where we get hammered the hardest here in the South anyway. So I would be looking in that 16 to 32 ounces per acre of glyphosate, and then maybe using a kicker with it because of that lower rate to increase your knockdown power. If I'm running 16 ounces to the acre of glyphosate, I'm always going to run 3-way with that, or methylfuron methyl. Hey, be careful with that storm out there, Thomas G. Seriously, there were some people that got hurt. Steve, I see you spoke in here again. Gypsum, the calcium available for cell division provides sulfur. Calcium for help with growth without nitrogen was my thoughts. Calcium is not necessarily going to help with growth. You're not going to get just a big visual response from it. Now, if you apply it in the form of calcium nitrate, yeah, you can, but you're getting a nitrogen component with that. If you go out and you just apply gypsum, you're not going to see like a flush of growth or something like that. You might get a little bit of a color response, but you're not really going to get any growth out of it. And just because you're applying calcium sulfate, hang on, what you're saying here, you're getting your calcium down and you're also getting sulfur. Yeah, that's a good thing. If you need calcium and sulfur, by all means, it's a great source. It's a good way to get it. But trying to supplement nitrogen with calcium because you need growth, you're not going to be able to apply calcium and get that kind of physiological response out of it. I hope that makes sense. All right, let me get caught up here. Look at this, Barry. It flagged your comment, but I just accepted it. How about that? How about that? Look at all the F's in the chat. Yeah, we survived the storms, Chad Hoover. I know I was playing the weatherman, but it was good. Has anyone done a wellness check on Ryan Nor after the Vikings loss? She shed. Grass Thief says, Matt, would this be a good time to put down some pre-em dithipir because weather has been unrealistically warm, like 10 days of warm temps, mid-60s, New Jersey? You can in New Jersey, but here's the reality is that it's going to get really cold again, and that's going to hit the reset button on you. Can you put it down now? Yeah, you can. Is it necessary? No. I like to get it down early, so if it's me, but I'm also in the South, right? I'm in Tennessee, so Me putting down pre-emergent now, yeah, I kind of have to, because where we may swing in temperature, so it may be warm today. In the month of February, you know, we'll probably dip down until you know, maybe mid-February. You know, we'll continue to hit freezing pretty consistently. You know, maybe once or twice a week or something. But here's the thing. Once we go from that, we're going to go from 32 degrees to 80 degrees. And if any POA germinates right now in this next 2-3 weeks of weather we're going to have, then I'm way behind. So I'm rushing normally on my first application to get it down as soon as possible, because I don't want to deal with POA issues. I don't want to give it an opportunity. We got Ben, the lawn guardian, here. How are you, good sir? How are you? Sound the alarm. How do you say dithiappear? Bermuda Boss, here you go. Every seminar I've ever been to is dithiappear. And probably every seminar Alan has been to, he's probably heard dithiappear. Or he heard dithiappear, and Alan, being Alan, said, you know what? I'm going to call it dithiappear because that's what I feel comfortable calling it as. It really doesn't matter. It could be dithiappear. I don't know. I really don't know. I've just heard dithiappear, so I repeat it that way. Bobby, I'm not even going to talk about Carbon X. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. Not tonight. Maybe tomorrow, but I'm not tonight. Tonight is just us and just us. We're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. We're going to leave business out of this, and we're just going to talk about. We're going to have a good time. No pressure. No pressure. Mike Haddad is here. How are you, good sir? Not sure about others, but it seems like a low POA year for my neighbors. Anyone else noticing the same? Could be, because we got really cold really quick, Richard. I don't know if you remember. It was kind of like September was really hot. October was really hot. And then by middle to end of October, it went from really hot to really cold. So with these warm temperatures we're facing now, I would say March, April, you're going to see POA just coming out of your ear holes, if I had to guess. Josh Baker says, looking to put down some 1305 with 0.15% dimension. It's recommended at 3 pounds per thousand. Any idea how long of a pre-emergent control that would give me a turf-type tall fescue lawn in western Kentucky? That's probably a single-use application recommended to be applied in split apps. I mean, there should be a chart on it that gives you a time frame. Off the top of my head, I don't know this to be fact. I'm going to say 2 to 3 months. Max. Eric Kavanaugh likes rare steak. Wipe its ass, blow its nose, and bring it on. My man. Hoosier Blue, I don't know if this is going to be a Saturday thing or not. I'm just here kicking it, man. I mean, it's 10:49 at night. I mean, this is wild. Normally I'm not home at this time. I'm getting it done tonight. I don't care. All right, where are we going here? We all know the PRG stripes better, so Ryan Nora has it in the bag. Oh, boy. I want to spray dithiappear for the first time on my lawn this spring, but don't know if I'm supposed to water it in to get it off the blades and down to the soil. Yes, you are. Any pre-emergent, you need to water it in, because where it's effective, Gary, is in the soil. Now, yes, water it in. Bring back acid rain, he said. Thank you, Evan. That was a good one. I'm going to give that one to you. Would it be funny to food dye a big-ass mustache on Ryan Nor Lawn Care now that there's snow on the ground? That may be funny. I don't know. It's hard for me to picture, but that might be funny. I just became the president of my townhome community's HOA. Congratulations, David Hansel. You have the worst job in all of America. Bless your heart, sir. We are in upstate South Carolina. The community lawns are a patchy mix of 30% Bermuda, 30% fescue, and 40% weeds. How should we attack 2020? Woo, boy. I wish I had an easy answer for you, but I could spend the next 45 minutes telling you how to make your first application. And then I could spend another 45 minutes how and when to make the second application. We probably have that kind of time tonight, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not in the state of mind to get into all that kind of detail. There are millions of videos out there. Now, just because you're dealing with a large area with the community's HOA doesn't make it any different than doing a 5,000 square foot yard, other than, well, budget, of course. So what I would recommend is, first things first, make the determination of which grass type do you want. Do you want Bermuda? Do you want fescue? Once you make that determination, then you can decide how you want to approach it. Because it's really easy. You can grow 30% Bermuda into 100% Bermuda. My backyard's a testament to it. I've done I can't tell you how many acres of grass I have grown in from just random Bermuda living up there. Anywhere in our property. Hundreds of acres, maybe even thousands at this point. I mean, a lot. If you want fescue, you can kind of do the same thing. You spray it all out with glyphosate at the end of the year and then seed it all. That's pretty simple. If you want it to all be Bermuda grass this time of year, you spray it all with Roundup. The Bermuda is going to green up later in the growing season. And then for the weeds, you're going to have to apply a post-emergent, and you're also going to have to apply a pre-emergent. But the first question is what kind of grass do you want? And then you have to answer the other questions. How do you do those, right? So if I do Bermuda and I do spray with glyphosate, I know that's going to be my post, but do I have a lot of broadleaf weeds in it? You say you got a lot of weeds in it, so what kind of weeds do you have in there? You got a lot of broadleaf weeds? Well, then I'm spraying Bermuda grass, I'm killing fescue, and I'm killing 40% of the weeds. What do I tank mix with it? Maybe methylfuron methyl, but methylfuron methyl is a really, really risky product. Maybe that might be a little bit out of my comfort zone. Maybe I go with something like Speed Zone. That's a nice, safe one. Speed Zone. And you spray that. And then 6 weeks later, you come in and you do it all over again. And then 6 weeks later, you come in and you start dropping bombs of fertilizer on it responsibly. But you're going to have to start feeding it pretty aggressively. What do you feed it with? I don't know. What does your soil look like? Because I may tell you you need to be applying triple 20, but here's the thing. If you're already off the chart in phosphorus and potassium, there's no real reason to spend the money on it. So you may just need to apply nitrogen. You may just need to apply wherever you want to get your nitrogen. So there's a lot of questions you have to ask yourself there. So, okay, then you start applying fertilizer. And then what? Well, what if I run out of rain? Well, then you're going to have to time it with the rain. And keep praying for rain and make sure everybody stays on top of their watering. And then the most important part of it all is that everybody's going to have to stay on top of their mowing. You may want it only mowed once a week because, that's what you're paying your landscaper for, but you may need it mowed 4 to 5 times in a week. And that's a realistic number. I'm not kidding about that. So I do not envy you, David Hensel. If you've run into a situation where you feel overwhelmed with it, I don't know where you are in upstate South Carolina. I don't know if that means North Carolina border, or that means like Greenville or something like that. If you're in the Greenville area, I'd recommend Precision Landscape. If you're in the Columbia area, I recommend NPK Lawn Care. Big shout out to Josh Bates over there. He's the man. You like Saturday nights because I don't have to stay up late on a work night. There you go. Gary, you're telling your age. You're telling yourself on your age right there. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, you're telling on yourself. All right, let's get caught up on this chat. Oops. Oh, there we go. Humic DG for your soil is pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So here's kind of thing. We were talking about flocculation earlier, right? So soil colloids pulling together, coming together to create some pore space. Humic acid can be a flocculator, or it is. If you're in a situation, I did not mean to hit that button. If you're in a situation where you do not have excess carbonates in the soil, humic acid can function as a flocculator. But if you're dealing in a situation where we do have high pH, it's not going to work like that for you. And it may be detrimental to what you're doing if you're trying to use it as a flocculator. You may have to apply something to flush your carbonates and then come in behind it with your humic DG to get the flocculation from it, if that's what you're using it for. Can I put down humic this time of year in New York, seeing that I have no snow right now? You can. I don't think it's going to do anything for you. Back to nature. What's going on, sir? How are you? Hopefully you've been drinking lots of little tiny Coronas. So my last app of Carbon X was sometime in November. I thought it was going to start getting colder, but I guess not. Should I put down another app of Carbon X down in what rate? Half pound? You can. Yeah. Like typically right now, Thomas, is when I'm going out with my first round of fertilizer. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd totally be fine doing that right now. No issue at all. Mateo Martinez says, what are your thoughts about autonomous mowers? I think they're awesome. I'm the exception. I hate mowing. And this is going to sound horrible. Absolutely horrible. One of the biggest pet peeves I had when I was treating lawns was when I would go to the yard and to give a quote, and they would call me the mowing guy. I'd be like, damn it, I am not the mowing guy. I'm the spray guy, not a mowing guy. That's ridiculous. I shouldn't have done that, but that was one of my pet peeves. So I think it's a great idea. I mean, it is, there's always going to be people that they're never going to replace people. I'm sorry. It's just not yet. Probably not in our generation are you going to be able to see that, Matt. It just, you look at like these automated coffee houses in California and stuff, and they're failing. And, one of the more interesting comments, even from Elon Musk with Tesla, and so much of the money they put into automation that they had to then undo because, in his very own words, was people were very underrated. They needed more human bodies, less of the robots. So that kind of skewed my perspective on things. Monument going down next week, Chad Hooper. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to get some Monument down probably in April. But I am probably going to get a pre-emergent down and some glyphosate here pretty soon. What's going on, Stout Lawn Care? How are you, good sir? Glad you're here. Have you ever put down on a lawn to make it less hydrophobic? Have I ever put what down on a lawn? Typically, if I'm running into a situation where I've got soil that is hydrophobic, what I'm putting on it is a wetting agent. So Duplex was the one I probably used the most because I had the easiest access to. Moisture Manager by who's that? Lesco. And what is the one? What is the one that that Alan has? That's going to be a soil surfactant. It's going to be a good surfactant. Any kind of surfactant. You can use baby shampoo. Will make it less hydrophobic. Any surfactant. Surfactants are designed to break the surface tension of water. So, any surfactant you put in the water where you break the surface tension and you apply it to the soil, you're making the soil less hydrophobic. Outlook shows cold weather in another week, 20s. Ooh. Ooh. Lushy says, Matt, we sat down with the Site 1 rep for the city. Thanks to you and Green Doc, I told him to beat with his sales pitch on his granular dithiopyr having a post-emergent crabgrass control. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, Lushy. Anybody that tries to sell you granular dimension or granular dithiopyr as having post-emergent control is a liar. A liar. You're going to have to apply it as a liquid, and you have to apply it max rate single use max rate. And it has to be applied with a surfactant. And even then, it's questionable. It's questionable. It's not 100%. It may be like you may reduce populations at that time by like 60%. So if you had a lawn that was 100% crabgrass and you applied it, you may only drop it by half. Just keep that in mind. Where am I? Look at all this coming in. Paul, glad to see you here, sir. Glad to see you here. DIY Lawn Care Monster says, Matt, Google Lens is the stuff. Excellent. I'm glad that's working well for you. That was really good. Maybe you could apply with nitrogen with peptides. It is possible. It's interesting. Our peptide supplier, we had a really long conversation. Yes. When was that? That was yesterday. What's going on, Toby Howard? Glad you're here. Thank you for running the extreme moderation there. I appreciate that. So we were having a long conversation. What's interesting is that with that particular root hair promoting peptide, where they're kind of shifting their research right now, is a synergistic effect between that and mycorrhizae. Oh, interesting. Now, here's kind of the thing is that it's only going to be applicable for the time of seeding. It's not going to be applicable for after the fact. Like, I can't go out to my fescue lawn right now and go apply it and have some big effect take place. It's not. This is going to be for the time of seeding. But pretty interesting. It said they're seeing huge results and a synergistic effect between the peptides and the mycorrhizae. Interesting. That's pretty exciting. I almost called Lush Lawns MPK Solutions. That's funny. Yeah, man, he is MPK Lawn Care. I love it. I mean, it's simple and it's great. A Dezorgia, I'll get to that because that's always an interesting topic. Let's see. My lawn is turf type tall fescue, irrigated, and looks like a beautiful carpet of green. My neighborhood's lawns are the crap ones. We're in Rock Hill, South Carolina, just south of Charlotte, North Carolina. Clay soil, ton of sun, no H2O. I spanked myself. That's for you, Lush Lawns. That's for you. Who is down there? Who is down there? Brandon's down there. Hang on one second. I think I may know somebody down there. At least a treatment guy, not a mowing guy. I do not know a mowing guy down there, but I think I know a treatment guy. Hang on one second. Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, here you go. Oops, that's the wrong one. David Hensel. There you go. Give him a call. He'll help you out. Zero Dark 35 says, saw forsythia bloom in Nashville. I was just there last weekend. Middle of last week, and you're right. That's who I gave him, Thomas G. and Richard. It was nice there. I had a good time. It was good stuff. All right. Let's get into this calcitic lime versus enhanced lime. Okay. With the enhanced lime, what that is that they grind it down to an extreme, really, really fine powder. So they probably use like a ball mill or a hammer mill. Ultra fine powder. And then when they agglomerate it with a high solid content humic acid and usually like some sort of surfactant. The smaller the particle size, the faster the buffering effect in the soil. Where calcitic lime may be partially granulated, it might be not even truly granulated. No agglomeration may actually be taking place. It may just come straight from a mine like that. It may be like washed or something like that. But enhanced just means it's ultra, 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 ultra fine particle size that's been agglomerated to hold together in a larger particle size. And then when it hits water, it goes back into a really small particle size. And that's what gives it that faster effect. That doesn't change its power to buffer, right? So if you get a soil test and it calls for 150 pounds per 1,000 square feet of calcitic lime, even though you're using enhanced lime, to get the kind of duration and buffer effect that you're actually looking for, you have to apply that 150 pounds because the calcium carbonate equivalent, the buffering capacity of enhanced lime is equal to calcitic lime. It's exactly the same. So in order to get that longer term solution, year over year type solution, you still have to get the same pounds on the ground. Because what will happen is as it's buffering out your hydrogen, you've got a really low pH, but you've only got 12 pounds of lime down. Well, you still got a lot of hydrogen left to attack. It might work there at the surface first, but eventually it's coming back because you still got a lot of hydrogen left over. Versus if you came in with 150 pounds per 1,000, if that's what your soil test says, then that's going to be able to work on that hydrogen load for a long time. I hope that makes sense. That's right. Back to nature. I will. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Soon. Telling you. Peptides and Earthmax Max Cow from Harrells last Thursday on a turf that for 2 years no one can make it grow. I went this morning as something is happening. Can't wait to go Friday. That's what I'm talking about. It's kind of how we felt like it was. Something is definitely happening. It's very interesting, and you can do it with really high rates. It's like crazy things start to happen. At really low rates, you see things start to happen, and you kind of find a middle range with it, and you see things starting to happen. You're kind of like, whoa, it's bananas. It really is. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Your opinions on Titan RX Turf Type Tall Fescue? The grass adding, I don't know. I have no experience with it. Let me see. Titan RX Fescue Intep. Typically, you would want to look at ntep.org and take a look at it. And I would probably just pick an area in the country where it's probably going to be closest to you in the sense that I would start here. I'm going to post this link in here. That's closest to you in climate, and then take a look at the performance. regenerative turf-type tall fescues. That's going to be your rhizomatous tall fescues, the lawn stripes. It's just a different name for it. Is lawn and popping with SETI Mac? Poa annua in my dormant Bermuda is going to be crazy. What should I do? You should blanket spray it with a product called glyphosate at about 16 to 32 ounces per acre while it's dormant. What universities do you lean towards when looking at research? Pretty much any and everybody that'll put out university research, I will lean towards. There's not really one I just favor more over the other than just being partial to my area. So things that's going to come out of the transition zone, NC State, I love what they do. University of Tennessee, I love what they do, even though that's going to be way more geared towards athletic turf. Auburn University, University of Georgia, a little bit. They do some interesting stuff. University of Nebraska at Lincoln does fantastic research, even up into Iowa. Idaho. Is it Idaho State or Iowa State? I think it's Iowa State. Does really great work. And I think even Idaho State does really great work too. I'm trying to go off the top of my head here. Texas A&M is going to have some really interesting research. University of Florida has great research. Clemson has great research. Rutgers, Purdue, Michigan State, the Ohio State University. I mean, it's really hard for me to not think if they got a turf program, chances are they've got great research. I don't really lean more towards one or the other than if it's just closer to me. And so I may have experienced some of the same things. You know, like when they're doing research on bent grass lawns out of Rutgers, like, I'm sorry, I'm just not that interested in it. Yeah, the lawn stripes, Ohio State has a great program. They really do. I mean, it's one of the best. And some of the people that come out of there are just absolutely amazing. Matt, how do you find all of the university resources you reference? I spend a lot of time on Google. University of Minnesota, you're right, Gravy Lookout. They really do good stuff too. They really do. I spend a lot of time on Google, and alter. And there's certain things after you read enough university research, you'll notice they use like certain words, like turf quality scores or color index. And so if I'm looking for something specific, say, I want to look at color response after an application of nitroform, then I may Google like urea formaldehyde nitrogen release. And then if I can't find what I'm looking for, I may Google, urea formaldehyde color index, urea formaldehyde turf color response, something like that. And after about 10 years of doing it, you kind of build a psychological inventory there. Wise Guy says, what should I be putting down on zoysia this time of year? Thanks in advance, Central Alabama. Probably your pre-emergent for the spring. So if it were me, Wise Guy, I'd probably be spraying Spectacle right now. That's what I would be doing. Yeah, the Greenskeeper app, Nebraska is great. They are. They're really good. They've done some awesome stuff to compare nutrient utilization. So a lot of that data was taken and then put into practice with turf, with Pace Turf. Pace Turf is another resource that they're great. They're purist, kind of, maybe. I think Pace is great. I really do. I have some very, very minor disagreements. And that's just based off personal experience, more so than hard written experience, but personal experience that spans 10 years. I have some issues with Pace, but other than that, and part of that may be the difference too of dealing with lawn care versus turf grass, because Pace is going to be more interested in playing surfaces. I'm going to be more interested in aesthetics. Because what always paid my bills was green grass. And having greens that rolled true didn't matter to me. It did in a different lifetime, but not once I got into residential lawn care. Just how it was. Let's score the Titans game. Yeah, 16 points. Look at that. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Can't wait to watch the highlights on ESPN. Unless you quit with that. Quit it. Quit it. What time is it here? It's 11:16, man. I've been going. Well, I've been going an hour. I don't really have a whole lot to say here. Thanks for the update, Lushy. We still have people in here, but I think I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm probably going to go jump in over at the Discord. Hang out with those guys over there. Unless I should set up. Should I do a group live stream? I think I know how to do it. Go Lakers. That's what I'm talking about. Gentlemen, I hope y'all have a fantastic evening. Ladies, I hope y'all have a fantastic evening. The lawn stripes, I am not sure. We were trying to hammer down that date, and as soon as I do know, I will let you know, Dan the man. Everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for letting me get everything. Thank you for letting me blow off some steam, because that's exactly what tonight was for, was blowing off some steam. I had a good time. I had to cool off and cool down and take it easy, and we'll see y'all
never been a one to play a safe.
Next week.
I play a little dirty
Tomorrow.
Someday, and I'm following faith. They say I'm the chosen one. I know what it takes to be a king.
Lushy, I asked 3 minutes ago, and just now you tell me you want a group stream? Are you kidding me?
And be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history. Something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.
Ain't no stream line.
Play reality.
See you in Orlando, sir.
Something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never getting far, but those words couldn't take to heart. I knew the day would come, be the chosen one. Yeah. I never had a safe place to hide. Run to the end of the tunnel to find a train on a shining sun to be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history. Something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire.